Live. In today's video, which will be posted later, we're going to talk about empty at the finish line. A thought came to my mind while I was shopping about like one day we're all going to look in the mirror for the last time. One day you're going to look in the mirror for the last time. One day you're going to look at yourself for the last time. And what kind of thought will be going through your mind as you're ending this experience? Is it going to be the thought, oh, who was I? Who am I? Or is it going to be a thought like, I did everything. I used up all of my resources. I used up my whole life. I actually had a full life. My tank is empty, but my life was full. And so in this one, we'll be talking about empty at the finish line. Like, what is salvation? Salvation isn't, for a geopolitical Christian, it's not about going to an airy fairy place in the sky. That may be real. Like, heaven may be real in that sense. But it's not a requirement to understand that is real. We're going to go there anyway. There's evidence in the Bible that demonstrates that. We're going to end up in heaven anyway. The question is, were you able to live this life here and find salvation here? And so, again, the church as an organization has outsourced salvation and power and ability and all of that. It's like life is out there, salvation is out there, God is out there, and you've got to come to us to get the map. And that way of thinking and living is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. There's no more room for organizations that use humans like batteries or governments that kind of do that thing. There's no more room for a Christianity based in moralism. And so as that comes to an end, we are going into an age of gold, an age of exceptional beauty. And that's because people will begin to realize that their lives matter. Their lives matter now. The good of your life matters now, here. We're all going to be redeemed in the end. We're all going to return to the Father. The energy that animates these bodies is going to go back to its source. I have good evidence for that in my understanding of the Bible as a geopolitical Christian. But what is salvation? As geopolitical Christians, salvation is your best life here now. When you get to that last moment and you look at yourself in the mirror for the last time and you say, oh, I know who I am. Or at least I know as much of myself as I possibly could know. There are people that will get to the end of their life and they'll look in the mirror and they're like, who were you? Who was I? And I'm determined not to be that. I'm not fighting it because I guess I'm just designed by God not to have that kind of outcome. But if you're living your entire life every day, giving your time and energy and thought to something that doesn't even see you, and you're adopting that perspective of yourself where you're nothing but a number, nothing but, a series of digits in a computer database somewhere, that's all you are, then you're probably not going to stay and watch this video. But if you are one of those people that's like, I really want to find out what I'm capable of, and not just find out like intellectually, but know it in your heart, that's salvation. Salvation is living life and being selfish enough to allow the love of God to inhabit your heart and to integrate into your mind, to absolutely take over you, and to be able to share that love with the world. And so this is just, something that came to mind as I'm, I can't really call what I'm facing right now a challenge. I'm in a different place right now in my life, and I'm experiencing a transitional moment. And it's one of those things where I found profound joy, profound peace, profound trust, better than I've ever had before. When I had lots and lots of money, you know, there were certain fears around that. I mean, I'll have lots and lots of money again soon, but it's like realizing that, okay, I don't have access to the resources I had before. So how do I find the joy here and now? How do I express the love of God? And genuinely so, not a bullshit kind of like, I'm a good, loving, nice Christian, but like I feel God's love so much that it has no choice but to flow out of me. And so that's something that I'm finding. And in the last video, the last live was really awesome. And you guys are really engaged. I really appreciate that. But in this one, it's a little more, I think, sober. It's a little more, how do you find salvation here in this life? And what do you do when God does fail you? Because God will fail your expectations. That's one thing that Christians and churches, organizations never ever. I mean, the Christians that believe God has failed them leave the church. And those are the people that need to stay. Like, you're the ones that need to stay in the church and continue to present your perspective and your experience of God, a genuine, authentic experience. Because God will fail you. God will fail your expectations and your requirements. And often take you to some really dark, unpleasant places so that you can actually see yourself. And there's so many people that are just scared to see themselves, and they're just digitized scenery. There are very few humans in the world that are actually alive, that are actually awake. And that's what the Apex Human Journey is about. It's about waking up. It's about realizing what you're capable of and doing that. You're going to be alone. You're going to stand out. You're going to be misunderstood. You have to get okay with that. Yes, there are those of us out here on the top or intermingled among the masses of scenery people. But there is an aloneness that happens here. There is a solitude. And um, that's okay. And I'm learning to not cope with it. I don't want to ever cope with it. I'm learning to feel the deep abiding joy and pleasure of that solitude, of being alone, of standing out in the crowd. Yeah, like a rose among dandelions. You're going to be different. You're going to be judged. You're going to be maybe definitely misunderstood, perhaps even disliked. But these things are paltry prices to pay for feeling the presence of the Creator and knowing that whatever path that you're on is the path that was designed for you. You're no longer living the sheep life as a lion. You're living a lion's life as a lion or whatever animal you are, you know? And there's a lot of power there. There's a lot of power there. And yes, people will, do whatever, but they'll also fear you and admire you. There's this football player, I forget his name, but I just love that, he's the only football player in history. Oh goodness. Okay, there's no people here. He's the only football player in history to never be drafted. And he just has one of these attitudes that you don't see among a lot of men in society. I think most men that I see are like shells, like these empty shells, just kind of floating around, slowly dying, happy wife, happy life. And they don't deserve the best life. They don't deserve the pleasure and the joy and the peace because they don't have the courage to grab it. The same with women. I feel like women maybe have a little bit more soul, but especially older women. I feel, yeah, obviously, they lived longer, they've seen more. But I see a lot of men, and it's just like I look at them and I just see shells, I see empty shells, you know, and it's just interesting to me that so many men have been castrated. But this guy, I think his name is Howard Johnson or something, it's a very generic name. But the guy's a beast. I mean, he's frightening just to look at for a lot of people. I don't find him frightening. I think he's adorable. He's giant, muscular. Of course, he's a football player. I don't know football, so don't ask me what position he plays. But he's this large, muscular, richly complected man and very, West African features or whatever, and he has a frightening look on his face, and he doesn't do much to like smile to make people feel comfortable around him. He just looks like a monster. I don't think he looks like a monster, but to a lot of people, he would appear to be a monster. He's this massive guy, muscular, all this stuff, and a very strong, intense look to him. And I think that's a beautiful thing. That's a person that's living the life that God designed for him to live. If he's a tiger or an elephant or a lion or a butterfly, he's living that life. He's not living the life that others expect or want him to live. He's living the life he was put here to live. And that's what the Apex Human Journey is about. That's what Hey God, Wake the Fuck Up is about. My book got wet. But that's what Hey God, Wake the Fuck Up is about. It's about tapping into that infinite power source. You know, the church has cuntified us. It's cut off everyone's balls and ripped out everyone's ovaries and turned humanity into this mindless soup of floating dead, kind of like, I don't know, like, it's just, we're moving into the golden age of Christianity, and we have to move forward with clarity. We can't move forward with moralism. And that's the challenge for me, calling myself a Christian and using profanity and having the kind of orientation that I have or lifestyle that I have, and saying the message of Christ supersedes the moralism of the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the synagogue of Satan, the Sanhedrin. Christ is real. Christ is part of real life, you know. And so I don't know if that's valuable to anyone, but yeah. What the fuck is this? So anyway, I hope that serves something. I hope that serves something. Probably gonna get a call soon, so I'm gonna jump off. But yeah, it's time to end this. Get out there and live your life so that if you died tomorrow, you found salvation before you left here. Salvation, you're gonna go to heaven anyway. So I wouldn't worry about that. I'm saying live your life fully. You know, find that joy, find the peace that passes all understanding. Let it fill your heart and spill out into the world. Let it land on others. Not forcibly, but just naturally. We can do that. I'm done.